All right, so I have to get our screen out for this awesomeness.
I need to move.
Oh, you don't.
Yeah,
You're just gonna
I
zoom in on me.
I would like to move.
All right.
I don't want to be part of his poker.
No poker.
Okay.
We'll want the other
wait,
one.
Wait, no, yeah,
You're
no.
fine where you're at.
Over.
So, what we're going to talk about tonight. Which camera am I on? This one here? Okay. That's like a recruiting. I need you. You. Listen to me. What we're going to be talking about is every now and then I get the timing's off. So we're going to talk about timing. I'm not going to show you how to change your timing. That's beyond the purview of tonight's quick workbench. What I'm going to show you is how to check your timing real quick. And this is going to also apply, a few things I'm going to talk about apply also to long arms. This is something to keep in mind because timing, you actually see more of this in long arms than you see your dormer machine going out.
Up.
But what I'm going to show you is just a quick way how to check your timing. Now there's two things and what? Yeah, let's hear it. What's up?
Nothing. Oh, head's in the way.
So you see we have this nice diagram playing the weatherman like I'm hoping. So what we have here is there's two things you want to keep in mind with timing. There's what they call needle rise height.
This is what I'm talking about.
With bob and hook.
How was your timing?
I don't know. My needle rise was off a little bit.
That's what I'm talking about. How do you fix your needle rise? You bring it into Brent.
Now you got to stick it down into the bottom farther.
That's what she said.
Okay, I really want to know how to do this.
Okay.
Maybe not.
So anyway, there's a few things. I'm going to show you on the machine here in just a second. But a very important thing to keep in mind.
Is that hole?
Is that hole, yeah. Is right here. This is your needle rise height. This is the first way to check your timing. Now you want to make sure that your needle is all the way to the left position on your machine. Because if your machine does zigzags, you've got three positions basically. You've got the left, center, and right. Timing is different depending where you're at because you're in a different spot in the hook as it rotates. And you can be further, and so the left is the furthest point out that the hook wants to be before it misses your needle. So if your timing is set properly on the right side, like if you use the measurements I give you to set your right side, you're going to skip stitches on the left side because it's too far out and it's going to miss the eye of the needle. So when we're talking about, you want to make sure that your needle is set to the left. If you have a straight stitch machine, it's going to be in the middle and it is what it is. That's going to be like, so on a long arm, it's definitely going to be, where it's at. But on a sewing machine, first thing you want to do is set your needle to the left position. The next thing you want to do, and this is right here, is raise it 3.1 meters.
How do I know that?
Millimeters. I'm going to show you how to check this in a second. My rule of thumb, 3 millimeters. And this works across most every machine I've ever used. This is a good quick check. And it could be a 20-year-old machine made yesterday. That 3 millimeter is a pretty good indication. That 3 millimeter does not apply to long arms. This is sewing machines only. And the quick, easy way to check this, bring your needle all the way to the bottom, towards where it's at the furthest point down, bring it up 3 millimeters. And if you bring it up 3 millimeters, what you should have when you bring it up 3 millimeters is this right here. The hook should pass just behind the needle, should be just starting to enter behind the needle, as you see down here in this picture.
How am I going to tell that?
Well, I'm going to show you in just a second. And now there's a couple things to keep in mind here. So your timing...
Right edge of needle and tip coincide.
Yes, your needle and your tip should coincide. So there's something to keep in mind here. When we're talking about timing, it's the fact that at 3 millimeters up, you're 3 millimeters up from bottom, and your hook, as we see in this picture here, is going to pass. I'm going to flip my stick over, Lynn. And it should be passing just behind the needle. Needle bar height.
Just behind the needle.
Yes, the hook's going to pass just behind it. It's starting to go behind it there. Needle bar height is how far above the eye of the needle that hook is passing. My experience, and this is just me as a tech, is that it's usually not the timing. Usually that hook is passing behind the needle where it should be, but the needle got jammed, and so it's either a little bit higher or a little bit lower than where it needs to be, and so you're getting skip stitches.
And you have to measure it from the top of the needle eye.
Top of the eye, that space between the eye and the hook is what you're looking at. Now, you don't necessarily need to get in there and measure that at 1.4 millimeters or whatever. If you know what a needle looks like, we went over this in a previous workbench, the scarf of the needle. Basically, you want to make sure that the hook is coming through about midway, to the lower half of the scarf. As long as the hook at 3 millimeters up is going through the scarf, you're probably going to be fine. That's a pretty good rule of thumb. You don't necessarily need to get in there and measure that. But what I've seen happen is your timing will be right, but you're 3 millimeters up and the eye is above the hook. So that means it's not the timing that's out. We have to actually drop the needle.
So I'm thinking all those times we change your needle for skipped stitches, it might just be because we didn't put it in right in the first place.
Yeah, it could be that the needle just slid down a little bit.
Yeah.
In fact, that's more often than not the case when I get one in here. Because if your needle slips down just a half a millimeter, it's going to change its relationship to the hook, and then it's going to act like it's missing time. So like I said, my experience, and this applies a lot to long arms, more long arms because this is where I usually see a timing issue, is that it's more likely that the needle bar height or the needle rise height is off, not that the hook timing is off. So, and then this picture over here I just put in there because on a Brother machine that shows you where you would loosen the bolt to drop your needle.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah,
We
you can.
shan't do that.
You shouldn't do that. No. And the reason I want to show this to people is to check your timing because a lot of people are like, oh, my timing's probably off, and 9 times out of 10 it's not. A quick, easy check. And when I say not
That
even,
is not a quick, easy check.
it is. Well, I'm going to show you real quick how to check it. It's
It's like
easier
I
than
need
you
a
think.
special tool.
No, you don't.
Okay then.
All right, let's swap over to this camera
Prove
here.
me wrong. Can
All right.
Can I use my favorite double-sided tape for this?
It might come in handy.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
So to check this, you're going to want to pull the case off it so you have access so you can see your hook and everything. All you're going to do is then rotate your handle so that the needle goes all the way to the bottom. And in this case, we're actually going to want to pick that back up because the foot is in the way. I'm going to take the foot out of the way so we can get to it. So all you're going to do is rotate your needle all the way to the bottom, what they call bottom dead center. So it's all the way down, and what you'll find is I'm wiggling it a little bit, but you'll notice that my needle really hasn't moved. And then as I start to come, it's coming back up. A little bit of a catch in there. So you're going to go all the way to the bottom. Next thing you do is you find a ruler that has millimeters on it.
I have those.
Yeah, and if you're into freedom units, it's 1/8 of an inch is about where it is about the same. 1/8 of an inch is a little high, and all you're going to do is you take that ruler, and what I do is I set it right down on the plate there, and I'm picking a point. And so I'm going to take this point here because it's right at 14. If you guys look in there, you can see where the top of my so if I hold my ruler steady, and all I'm going to do is rotate that up 1, 2, 3. And then all I'm going to do now is look underneath here to see where my hook's at. Now, if you look closely, you can probably see that we're a little bit past the hook.
I was going to say, it looks like my timing's off.
It's not.
You forgot to set to the left.
I forgot to set it to the left. That's exactly right. So if we had set this to the left, it would be over there a little bit, and you would see that the timing's exactly where it should be. And that's all you have to do to check it. That's how you check timing. It's a quick, easy check. You made it sound like it was all complicated.
It was. I don't know how you told 1, 2, 3.
I'll go over it again just so you can see it.
Did you all see the 1, 2, 3 thing?
So we're going to come all the way down. So you bring it all the way down to bottom dead center, and then this, like I said, this scale here, these are millimeters over here, and I'm just going to say, so right here, you see where it says 14? Mm-hmm. That solid line lines up with the top of that right there.
Oh,
So I'm going to carefully watch as I go up 1, 2, 3.
So you're not looking at the needle when you're measuring.
No,
You're
I'm
just
looking.
taking
I'm
a
looking at that
reference.
spot. That
You're using a bigger picture. Because I'm thinking,
Yeah.
how do you know?
Yeah,
you
you're not
went
going to look at the.
from
You just. What I find is when I get
So-
my ruler down here, I just put it next to it and find
Pick a
something.
reference point.
Pick a
I
pick
got
a
it.
reference point and just lift it up 3 millimeters.
Oh, well now I see it.
And if you're a little past or a little forward, there is a little bit of room for error there. So I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep if you're a little bit smidge left or right. But if you're way over, you've missed it. Or if the eye of the needle is above your hook, then you are definitely in trouble. But like I said, you want to do it to the left because on the left position is where you're gonna get that measurement.
see, I see.
And like I said, that 3 millimeter, plus or minus, like, it's such a small number, plus or minus. That 3 millimeters is a pretty solid number. You can use that for a quick ballpark check of any machine, really. And that's how you check your timing. And I'm not going to get into how to fix your timing. I just want to show you how to check
You
it.
shouldn't have taken that off yet, Ed,
Why?
because I don't like looking at the green.
Okay. Well, he can put up the background, a nice background for us. See what's he got for us
You
out
don't look
there.
good with that cover.
Yeah, but no. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, we're chatting about
There we go.
time.
A nice lakeside. So that's how you check your timing. So if you and so a lot of times you get skip stitches or whatnot. There's a lot of things that lead to it, but you can rule timing out really quick by just doing that quick check. And if it is out, how to fix it's a whole depends on the machine and a bunch of other things. But I think what you'll find whenever you start to think timing's out, check that. And then the other thing to do.
Look how dirty that is already.
Well, it gets used a lot.
Wow. Look at how dirty it is. Look at that. Holy moly.
I wonder if I can knit that into a sweater.
No, but there's a lot of sparkle in there.
Yeah, because it's your machine.
Sparkle.
There. So that
Yeah. What is
is all I had tonight for
That was
Workbench.
very interesting. I did not know.
So that's
any
like I
of
said,
that.
and if you're on a long arm, the check is a little bit different.
Is it just a different height, or is it a different all?
There's no, the 3 millimeter rule doesn't apply on a long arm. What you're going to do on a long arm is you're going to actually bring your
Yeah.
needle on the upstroke and see where the bobbin hook comes across.
That's too much.
Well, another thing.
Yeah, I can handle
Well,
that.
just while we're talking about it, what's interesting is on a long arm there are no feed dogs. So timing is a lot easier on a long arm because you don't have to have the timing
Of
of the feeding of the fabric and the hook all at the same time.
you should clean that while you get that off.
Well, we need like vacuums and stuff to clean it.
Hey, Dee.
All right, so that's all I have. So that brings us then to the